Paul.
Here.
Mr. Romagna.
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Mr. DiLoretto. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Kirkhoff. Here.
All members of council are here and accounted for. I would like to remind everyone, if they have a cell phone, to please turn them off or put them in the vibrating position. With that, Mr. Davis.
Yes, Your Honor. I move that the minutes of March 3rd, 2015 and March 10th, 2015 be accepted as written. Second.
It's been really moved and second that the minutes of March 3rd, 2015 and March 10th, 2015 be accepted as written. Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf.
Aye.
Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Romagna.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkhoff. Aye.
So moved. Motion carried. Petitions and communications, Madam Clerk.
None.
Ordinance number 2015-13 by the Utility Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. DiLoretto, Ms. Kurthoff, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-13, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to execute task order agreement number 3A for a water infrastructure condition assessment for the raw water pump station and water treatment plant with HDR Engineering, Inc., city project number 2014-130, and to complete all necessary functions that may be required.
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-13. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address. Not members council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Romagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkhoff? Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-13 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-14 by the Public Utility Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. DiLoretto, Ms. Kurthoff, for its third reading.
Ordinance number 2015-14, an ordinance authorizing and designating the city manager as the local official with the authority to execute the project known as Aberdeen Road, Bryden Road, and East Carlton Road waterline upgrades, city project number 2014-142, and complete all necessary functions that may be required to complete said project, including but not limited to engineering design services, right-of-way services, including acquisition of right-of-way, utility relocation, construction administration, inspection services, bidding services, advertising for bids for construction, including any rebidding that may be required, entering into a contract with the lowest most qualified bidder and authorizing payment therefore.
You heard the third reading of ordinance number 2015-14. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address. If not, members council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kirkhoff? Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-14 duly adopted. The effective date of this ordinance will be on April 19th, and I neglected to say the first ordinance that was passed, ordinance number 2015-13, effective date will be April 19th. Ordinance number 2015-15 by the Public Utility Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. DiLoretto, Ms. Kurthoff, for its third reading.
Ordinance number 2015-15, an ordinance authorizing and designating the city manager as the local official with the authority to execute the project known as Laybell Avenue Waterline Upgrade, city project number 2014-143, and complete all necessary functions that may be required to complete said project, including but not limited to engineering design services, right-of-way services, including acquisition of right-of-way, utility relocation, construction administration, inspection services, bidding services, advertising for bids for construction, including any rebidding that may be required, entering into a contract with the lowest most qualified bidder and authorizing payment therefore.
You heard the reading of ordinance number 2015-15. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address. Not members council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kirkhoff? Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-15 duly adopted. Effective date of this ordinance will be April 19th. Ordinance number 2015-16 by the Building and Grounds Committee, Ms. Curl, Mr. Paul, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-16, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager and mayor to execute a contract for sale of city-owned property. Copy of the contract is marked and attached as Exhibit A to the City of Ohio Department of Transportation.
You heard the reading of ordinance number 2015-16. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state your name and address. Not members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-16 duly adopted. Again, the effective date of this ordinance is April 19th. Ordinance number 2015-17 by the Planning Committee, Ms. Curdahl, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-17, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager and urban projects director to advertise for proposals from consulting firms for professional services for the preparation of asbestos assessments and related services, authorizing the entering into a contract based on costs and qualifications, and authorizing payment therefor.
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-17. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state your name and address. No, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-17 duly adopted. Once again, the effective date of this ordinance is April 19th. Ordinance number 2015-18 by the Planning Committee, Ms. Curdahl, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-18, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager to advertise for bids for the sale of lot numbers 2 and 3 in John Fisher's addition in the city of Steubenville, subject to bid specifications and a right to reject any and all bids.
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-18. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address. No, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-18 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-19 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-19, an ordinance amending section 191.10 and section 191.14D of the codified ordinances of the city of Steubenville.
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-19. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state their name and address. If not, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-19 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-21 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-21, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2014-140 to amend revenue tax budget for year ending December 31st, 2015 to adjust for the change in revenue from the transfer into the general reserve fund from the general fund.
Hearing the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-21. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state your name and address. No, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-21 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-22 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading.
Ordinance number 2015-22, an ordinance authorizing and directing the finance director to transfer the amount of $236,274.91 from the general fund 01 to the general reserve fund.
You heard the third and final reading of ordinance number 2015-22. Is there anyone wishing to speak on it? Please come forward, state your name and address. If not, members of council.
Question.
Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagnum?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kurtolo?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-22 duly adopted. Effective date of this ordinance is April 19th. Ordinance number 2015-25 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2015-25 be tabled.
Second.
It's been regularly moved in second that ordinance number 2015-25 be tabled. Question on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagnum?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
No.
Ms. Kurtolo?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-25. Ordinance number 2015-26 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its third and final reading. Mr. Metcalf.
Your Honor, once again, I'd like to make a motion that ordinance number 2015-26 be tabled.
Second.
It's been regularly moved in second that ordinance number 2015-26 be tabled. Question? Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagnum?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kurtolo?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-26 is tabled. Resolution number 2015-27 by council as a whole.
Resolution number 2015-27, a resolution approving the amended solid waste management plan for the Jefferson Belmont Regional Solid Waste Management Authority.
Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor. Before I move on this, we are in receipt of a letter from our city manager. We received the email. I'd like to have that read by our clerk this evening and be part of the record of tonight's council meeting.
Hearing no objection, the clerk will read the letter received from the city manager concerning the utility, the Solid Waste Authority Community Service Plan.
City Manager Tim Boland, the Jefferson Belmont Regional Solid Waste Authority JB Green Team Board of Trustees was forced to institute many service program curtailments during 2014 as a result of the significant operational changes at Apex Environmental. Many popular services like the community cleanup program were significantly reduced in frequency and location to reduce our operational expenditures. The board has agonized over how to reestablish some of our programming based upon community preferences. At our February and March Board of Trustee meetings, they discussed at length the 2015 annual budget. After some stabilization in our revenue funds, the board has determined that we are able to return to some of the service programming curtailed in 2014. The popular township program, community cleanup, and scrap tire collections have been reinstated. Cities and villages that have municipal waste collections have generally not been directly serviced by the community cleanup program. The Board of Trustees has instituted a new bulk pickup program to help subsidize the cost of the municipal bulk pickup collections. This is a brand new service program for the authority, so our cost exposure is not as yet clear. We are asking that the cities and villages with municipal collections, they are eligible for the new program, submit a proposal to the JB Green Team Board of Trustees indicating your desire to be considered for this new program and how you would like to conduct the bulk pickup program in your community. The board will make the final decision as to the level of funding based upon the request and the anticipated cost of our participation. I have enclosed a suggested format when submitting your proposal. feel free to deviate as you wish. Thank you for your public support. Clifford Meyer, Executive Director of Regional Solid Waste Authority, Jefferson, Belmont Counties.
Hearing no objections, the letter dated March 6 from the JV Green Team, Executive Director Cliff Myers, will be entered into the record. Hearing no objections, it is so ordered. Also, I would like to call the members of council's attention that there is a attachment making reference to municipal bulk pickup collections for 2015 and the proposal for collection. Hearing no objections, I will order that into the record also. Hearing no objections, it is so ordered. Mr. Metcalf?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm deviating slightly here. Just some comments or questions I'd like the city manager to follow up on. This
Mr.
plan.
Metcalf, before you do that, normally on a resolution, we do go to a roll call vote. But let me ask, if there's no objections, we will give you the floor. Hearing no objections, it is so ordered. Proceed, Mr. Metcalf.
I'll sit down. I'd like the city manager to elaborate on a couple of things. He is our representative, and he is our voice of this council. And as we are the voice of the citizens, we relate to the city manager, the wishes, especially with this board. There's been a lot of talk and discussion over the months. There's been a lot of rejection of this plan and brought back. We've met with the EPA. A few things here that I think are important are value to our citizens, especially in cleaning up the town from a litter standpoint, and that's the reason why the bulk pickup was mentioned here recently. We need that. We need some extra help in cleaning up this city. Tim, you're a representative, you understand that, and I know that you will hopefully help to bring that to the JV Green Team as part of what we like to do. That's number one, value to our citizens that we need to get from this. The second thing is if we veto this, or if we vote this down, excuse me, the EPA, the state EPA will go ahead and write the plan. At that point in time, the city will lose its veto power, which basically means, in a nutshell, they're charging $2 per ton. That could go up to $100 a ton. We have no idea or no clue what the finance board within the JV Green Team will do. If we adopt this plan, we hold the power for our citizens to maintain a veto and cap us at $2. And I am correct in stating that. I'm one, Tim, since you're on the finance committee, and I believe the chair, to talk about that. But the main idea with this is to maintain the veto power to protect the citizens and the garbage fund. Tim, the mayor, if you want to add in, and the other members of council.
All right, thank you, Greg. What's the hell?
Wow.
That was a big thank you. Thanks, Greg. I'm gonna. You got yours working? All right, thank you. Yeah, just a couple of observations. Obviously, we've been talking about the solid waste plan for quite a while. I just would want to go back and mention the presentation we had from Andrew Booker. He is the representative of the Environmental Protection Agency. And some of the things that I noted from that presentation that he stated were that very few authorities get to the point of having their plans written by the EPA. And there's a significant majority of them are done and are not done by the EPA. And I think that's probably because communities do not want to give up local control. I think, I would think that would have to be the obvious reason. Mr. Booker also, I think, was very clear to all of us that, and made a specific point that that the city would lose its veto power if the EPA writes the plan. I think he was very clear on that. Given our size, given that we're the county seat, all those factors, the General Assembly has given us that right. We have a veto power. We've been fighting to maintain that veto power for months now, and that's part of the reason we renegotiated with the Green Team. unfortunately, I think if we do vote against that, vote no, we really are giving our veto power to the EPA. The city did successfully negotiate with the Solid Waste Authority to amend the plan. We kept the veto power if relative to designation fees, that they could not rise above $2 a ton. And the other issue was providing value to the citizens. I recently was sent out from the Green Team's budget a list of projects, new initiatives that I think everyone received this copy of projects that either haven't been done in the past or are being brought back, basically because of that reason. And I've mentioned a number of times at meetings that citizens need to see a return for their investment. They need to see value. The letter that was written or read by Frankie mentioned bulk collections. That wasn't there last year. We can't afford to do the second. That's why we've cut it. Now we can, with the Green Team's assistance, I believe we can go forward and do a second one later this year. They've budgeted for that. So I think, again, in their budget, the Green Team has taken the steps to put in new projects, new initiatives. There is the value that we've asked for has been realized at least in their budget for 2015. I think that with the plan being passed, if we don't do that or don't vote on it and keep local control, my concern would be, and I believe it's accurate, that budget would be out the window. That's the budget that I've sent out that has a list of new initiatives and programs ceases to be there, and really we need to wait for EPA to act, which may be a number of months from now, and I don't really know the time frame, but it's certainly going to be a lot longer than if we had local control. So I think for all those reasons, I think that the city was right to reject the original plan. We asked for our veto power to be maintained. We asked for additional value. That's what we've received back. I think that retaining local control would be in the city's best interest. It's nothing negative against the EPA. I just don't know where that. It's not us. It's not our local officials making those decisions. So those are my thoughts. Council, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Mayor?
Mr. Bill Madden.
In the beginning, I was actually for this. I thought maybe it would be a good idea, and then after I had a chance to reflect on this a little bit, the last graph that I found for accepting this in Jefferson County was 1%. Now, I don't know that it could be higher than that now, but only 1% of Jefferson County so far has voted for that. Now, that being said, this is Belmont and Jefferson County, and I don't say this to be mean, but I don't really care about Belmont County. I'm only worried about the Steubenville and the people that live here. I believe 16 months since I've been a councilman, we've given out, we raised the city manager's salary 3%, and he was here less than a year. We've given all the employees 2.2% raise, which I don't have a problem with. The finance director, since 3/4/14, the salaries increased 12%. We've increased our cell phone usage for the city employees. We have more people using cell phones than they did prior to me being a councilman. We raised the water rate $6.50 for you guys. We want to raise the city income tax 0.5%, again, for you guys. The JB Green Team put on $12.55 on our property tax. Again, assessment, I'm not allowed to say tax, okay, assessment. On you guys. We're thinking about putting a safety levy on in November, which I won't support because it's gonna go on you guys. If the EPA wants to burden the citizens of Steubenville with more tax by implementing $2 on a destination fee, which is gonna come from you again, which I don't think they'll do that. I don't think the EPA will burden us, and I don't think JP Green Team's purpose is to try to burden us. Let the EPA do it. I won't do it. I won't vote for it. And it's just going to put another burden. Now they say, well, we're going to have control. I don't. Control is not the most important thing to me. The value for the citizens of this town and what's beneficial to the city. I asked for some information about. I was trying to get something together, but I didn't receive it. So I could have a little bit more information about. I think the city could implement some of this stuff before we go to this $2 implementation, and that's just my belief there.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. Mr. Diarretto?
Yes, probably along the same line, I'll probably use more of trucks than anybody else do in the first ward. I probably have the dirtiest ward there is in the whole city. But I'm along the same line. I'm tired of the EPA coming down here, telling us what to do, how to do it. They don't give us any money. Now, someone else is going to tell us to put X number of dollars on it. Fine. Whoever made that rule, whether it's the EPA or the state legislature, let them come out forward and say, we put the tax on, not Mr. DiLoretto. I think that's taxation without representation. This state, they have over $1 billion in the rainy fund. Let them spend some of that money. They took some out from us, let's give us some back. Very, very easy. They spent $3.5 million on a lawsuit. Probably another one coming up. That's out of line, $3 million. Finally, we've talked about it for 10 years, transfer station. We do talk, meetings. Either do something or get lost. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diarretto. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to share my thoughts in determining how I will vote on this matter. Whether we approve the plan or vote it down, the $12 tax that everybody's upset about will remain pending the recently filed litigation by two villages. The proposed plan is not perfect. However, an EPA drafted plan will also not be perfect. Does the plan provide services which will benefit the residents of Steubenville? The answer is yes. I believe the plan, if adopted, the additional revenue generated by the implementation of the designation fee should ultimately reduce or eliminate the $12 tax that everybody hates. When at all possible, I believe local officials should make the decision affecting our area rather than have Columbus or the EPA making the decisions. If the citizens are not happy with the decisions made by local officials, the citizens can vote them out. We have no such recourse if we don't like the decision of the EPA. So since the plan is developed locally, benefits Steubenville, and its adoption should reduce or eliminate the $8 to $12 tax, I'm for this plan.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Davis?
Pretty much on the same lines as Mr. Johnson. We are not voting tonight on the tax or the destination fee. The EPA made that perfectly clear a couple weeks ago when they were in here. No matter who writes the plan, it is up to the JB Green Team, the Solid Waste Authority, to implement how it is funded. So that tax could very well go up depending on what the EPA says. So we are not, this council is not voting on the tax or the designation fee, just the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Mika?
Yeah, just a point of clarification. The $2 fee, which equates to $20,000 estimation, is going to be absorbed by our sanitation fund. It is not going to be passed on to any citizen in the city of Steubenville. Correct.
That would be where it would come from, if it's implemented. If designation fees are in the plan, if they are implemented, then yes, sanitation.
We're eating it in the sanitation fund at this time.
Up to 20, and up to $2, it should be less than that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Midcup. Mr. Bill, maybe I think you want to follow that up.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly a true statement or not, because everybody in this room paid a sanitation fee, right? That sanitation fund money, who put that in there? Right there. The guys in this room right here put that money in the sanitation fund, so don't say the city's absorbing it like we're giving these guys some kind of benefit, because that's not true. And Kenny said we're not voting on a designation fee. If we pass this plan, we're getting a $2 designation fee, so I'm confused. I know we're not fighting the 1250, we're not arguing the 1255, but to sit here and say we're not voting on a designation fee, and then to say that we're taking $20,000 off of the city when it actually belongs to these people, that's wrong. It's coming right out of your pocket. So.
Mr. Johnson.
Just to clarify, I mean, the plan that we are voting on does have a designation fee, so we are voting on a designation fee. However, if it passed, the city is going to absorb that $2 destination fee. We're not going to bill the citizens. Their bill, if their garbage bill right now is $30, it's going to be $30 after we pass this plan.
Thank you, Mike.
Any other remarks from the members of council? Because I know this is very unusual for a resolution that's going to be adopted by roll call, but I too would like to make some remarks. And I believe, council will attest to this, have the longest history of this. If you guys could recall, and ladies, can recall, back in, I believe it was July of 2013, at a solid waste commission meeting as the acting city manager and the representative for the city of Steubenville, I informed the solid waste board that the city of Steubenville would object to the plan if it had designation fee unless we received value out of the plan. The city and city council supported that position until now, and I thank the members of city council. But we did exactly what legislators should have done, what good stewards of all of our money should have done. We brought it to their attention. Throughout the last several months, we had some very healthy discussions. We compared them to other plans. We had the EPA representative here not once, not twice, but 3 times. One time talking to this council and explaining the process. There will be a solid waste plan. Either we can write it here locally or the EPA can. Quite frankly, when I took that position in 2013, the thought of the EPA writing a plan for the city of Steubenville and not knowing the ingredients in there and where the funding would come from, and more than likely it would be a assessment of real estate tax, scared me. But I thought in order to get the best value out of the plan, we had to continue to say not to adopt the plan. We held our negotiation. As you can see, we now see value within that plan. Quite frankly, losing the veto power, having the state EPA write the plan, I don't believe is in the best interest of the city. I think we went as far as we can and got value out of the plan. I want to encourage council to adopt resolution number 2015-27. Is it a perfect plan? Absolutely not. But we have a seat and we have ears and we have the attention of the solid waste to make sure we continue to receive value out of there. Tonight we do have our executive director of the solid waste authority with us, Cliff Meyer. And he could tell you, I sat toe-to-toe, head-to-head. In fact, I left one meeting in his office because I was insulted. And you know, it takes a lot to insult people, but I was insulted. I left so mad and disgusted with him. Also, we have another board member, Scott Fabian, with us, and it was made reference to the townships and the villages throughout Jefferson County voting against the plan. Yes, they did. The first plan that was presented, they had questions about value within that plan. The reducing services, tire collections and bulk pickup collections and all. They too negotiated, but it is my understanding that, I believe 11 out of the 14, go ahead.
12 out of 14 voted so far.
12 out of the 14 townships voted to support the plan. I think it's important tonight, the city of Steubenville support the resolution 2015-27.
Mayor, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Did Mingo support it?
Just don't ask me my age.
I know, I wasn't there. Did Mingo support it?
No, I mean, I believe voted against it, yes.
Did Toronto support it?
I don't think they held their second vote yet. I don't know.
If you don't vote on it, is it considered a no vote?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Was there a question over here? Oh, okay. Mr. Maycock.
Yeah, and at this time, I would like resolution number 2015-27 be read for adoption by roll call.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that resolution number 2015-27 be adopted by roll call. Roll call?
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
No.
Mr. Bill Magno?
No.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Kurtdahl?
Aye.
So moved. Ordinance number 2015-27 duly adopted. Ordinance number 2015-30 by the Planning Committee, Ms. Kurtdahl, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its first reading.
Ordinance number 2015-30, an ordinance declaring the buildings and structures located at 509 Railroad Avenue, 511 and 515 Railroad Avenue, 622 Pine Street, 603 Garrett Avenue, 605 Railroad, Garrett Avenue, 1247 Lincoln Avenue, 511, 513, and 513 Brewer Center Avenue, 606 Brady Avenue, 831 Sherman Avenue, 833 Sherman Avenue, 242 South 8th Street, and 220 to 230 Adams Street, Steubenville, Ohio, to be unsafe structures as defined by Section 108 of the Property Maintenance Code of the City of Steubenville, Ohio, and declaring such to be a public nuisance and ordering the removal or demolition of such unsafe structures.
You heard the first reading of ordinance number 2015-30. Its second reading will be 2 weeks hence on March 31st. The third and final reading is scheduled for April 14th. If passed, the effective date of this ordinance will be on May 15th. Ordinance number 2015-31 by the Planning Committee, Ms. Kurtdahl, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson.
Ordinance number 2015-31, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1992-20 as amended, the zoning ordinance of the City of Steubenville, Ohio by rezoning property owned by RCDB Inc. located at North 3rd Street and Ross Street, Steubenville, Ohio, from I-3 Heavy Industrial District to I-1 General Commercial and Industrial District.
You heard the first reading of ordinance number 2015-31. The second reading is scheduled 2 weeks hence on March 31st. The third and final reading will be scheduled for May 12th. However, there will be a public hearing at the Steubenville Planning and Zoning Commission on May 4th. If all adopted and approved, the effective date of this ordinance will be June 12th. Ordinance number 2015-32 by the Public Utilities Committee, Mr. Metcalf, Mr. DiLoretto, Ms. Kurtdahl. You know, our change ordinance, it says so. The ordinance will stand corrected, and it will Kurtdahl instead of says.
Ordinance number 2015-32, an ordinance authorizing and designating the city manager as the local official with the authority to execute the project known as the wastewater treatment plant railing replacement project and complete all necessary functions that may be required to complete said project, including but not limited to engineering design services, construction administration, inspection services, bidding services, advertising for bids for construction, including any rebidding that may be required, entering into a contract with the lowest and most qualified bidder and authorizing payment therefor.
Here's the first reading of ordinance number 2015-32. Its second reading is scheduled 2 weeks hence on March 31st. The third and final reading is scheduled for April 14th. with the effective date of this ordinance if adopted on May 15th. Ordinance number 2015-33 by the Finance Committee, Mr. Makeup, Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson for its first reading.
Ordinance number 2015-33, an ordinance authorizing and directing the approval of expenditures without a purchase order over $3,000 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.41.
Here's the first reading of ordinance number 2015-33. Its second reading is scheduled on March 31st. The third and final reading on April 14th. If adopted, the effective date of this ordinance will be May 15th. Resolution number 2015-34 by the council as a whole.
Resolution number 2015-34, a resolution proclaiming March of 2015 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, Your Honor. I move that resolution number 2015-34 be adopted by roll call.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that resolution number 2015-34 be adopted by roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Romagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Resolution number 2015-34 duly adopted. Resolution number 2015-35 by council as a whole.
Resolution number 2015-35, a resolution authorizing and directing the city manager to make application for a grant from the Ohio Development Services Agency, Governor's Office of Appalachia, to be used towards funding the city of Steubenville, Loretta Drive Water Line Replacement Project, city project number 2014-126, and to execute contracts as required.
Mr. Metcalf.
Your Honor, I make a motion resolution number 2015-35 be adopted by roll call.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and seconded that resolution number 2015-34 be adopted by roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Metcalf?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Romagna?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. Curto?
Aye.
So moved. Resolution number 2015-35 duly adopted. That will conclude the ordinances and resolutions before City Council this evening. We will now move into the report of committees, and we'll start off with Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, Your Honor, two items. First of all, just a reminder, tomorrow in the Puglisi Room, 5:30, Economic Development Committee Council will be meeting specifically with members of Franciscan University discussing projects that will be happening on the Green Strip. So first of all, I'd like to thank them for coming and for providing economic development continuously throughout our community. And then second of all, I wanted to commend Lindsay Mont, Tim, in our utility office. There was a billing error that occurred with our water bills, and I believe it was specific to everyone that got new meters put in.
Not everyone, but.
Not everyone, but there's a double billing of, on the sewage part. I talked to you and her on Thursday, and today's mail, the corrected bill came out. That was extremely quick and very happy to see that our staff responded very quickly to an error that occurred. So I just want to say thank you to her and you, Tim, for the quick efforts. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf, and you mentioned about your economic meeting tomorrow with the Franciscan University. I will be attending an Omega meeting. I hope to be back, and I believe Mr. Spacey will be there, will be accompanying me too, so for a few minutes late for him. We'll continue on with the report of committees to Mr. Paul.
Yeah, I just have one thing, Your Honor. It's under Public Safety and Health. Whoa. The second meeting of the Hilltop Neighborhood Community Task Force is scheduled for Thursday of this week, right? Mr. Boland?
Yes.
Other than that, no, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. We'll continue on with the report of committees to Mr. Bill Magna.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bill Magna?
No, I have nothing this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Magna. We'll continue on with the report of committees to Mr. Davis.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Dioretto.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Dioretto. Mr. Johnson.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Curtle.
Yes, Your Honor, just one up under the Pride Committee, reminding everyone that the subcommittee, which is beautification, will meet this Thursday at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And on the agenda, if you're interested, would be the redesign of the south entrance sign coming in the south entrance of Steubenville, and adopt a lot program, also a tentative tentative spring flower sale, and our Arbor Day project. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Colonel. That will complete the report from the members of council. Before I move on to the administrative officers, I would like to inform council that I have received some, in my opinion, sad news for the city of Steubenville. I have received a letter of retirement from what I consider one of our dedicated and loyal employees. At this time, hearing no objections, I would like the clerk to read the letter.
Dear Dom, I'm writing to notify you that I will be leaving my position as Executive Secretary. My last day with the city is April 30th, 2015. After long and thoughtful deliberation, I have decided to retire. My career with the city spans 22 years, and while I have enjoyed it tremendously, I feel it is time to start checking things off my personal bucket list. The decision to leave the city was not an easy one. My time here has been professionally and personally rewarding. I still remember my first day with the city, who inspired me to want to stay for many years, and here we are 22 years later. I would like to think my loyalty and hard work, along with your guidance, contributed to some of the city's successes. I realize I am vacating my position during an extremely busy time for the city. Unfortunately, I cannot delay my retirement due to personal obligations. I will help during the transitional phase in any way I am able. Please feel free to contact me if ever you need any information that will help with the transition. Again, I have enjoyed working with you and for you over the years. You have become like family to me. I wish all the best to you personally and the continued success of this amazing city. Sincerely, Shirley DiCarlo-Antonio.
Hearing no objections, that will be ordered into the record. Now, a couple of notes. As everyone is aware, there are very few, but a couple of positions. City Council has the luxury of hiring the council clerk, and of course the mayor had the luxury of hiring his secretary. However, over the years, that particular position has grown into a lot more than assisting the mayor in the day-to-day operations of the city. She, without a doubt, became an executive secretary that, quite frankly, not only I, but I think the city's going to miss. However, we need to move on. Shirley and I had a lot of conversations about this. She was able to provide me with a list of some of her duties that are 2 pages long. I think anybody that contacted my office knows of her efficiency and dedication to the city. However, years not too long ago, we decided, the city manager at that time and I, because of cost-saving measures to the city, that we would try to work with one secretary. Shirley took on the task of being not only the mayor's secretary, but the secretary to the city manager. And I'm saying the word secretary, and there's a lot more than just the word secretary to that position. But in consulting with our city manager and over the weekend, I created a job description. And to be fair with that position, and consulting with the city manager, I have asked him to join me in the selection process for a new secretary for both the city manager's office and the mayor's office. I have prepared a job description, so to speak, but more so that I would like to advertise in the Herald Star for interested applicants. I would like to advertise on March 22nd and March 29th. And also include our city website and possibly monster.com and some of the other resources. I would like basically to say that we should receive the resumes, and this is all tentative because this is really upsetting to me. But the resume deadline for applications or resumes to be received at the office, the mayor's office, would be April 3rd. Hopefully the week of April 6th, the city manager and I, or at least I, could conduct or at least review the applicants that we receive. Hopefully the week of April 13th, we will be able to do the interview process and have somebody in place by her retirement date. If not, we will continue on as we usually do when she's away from her desk or on vacation, and quite frankly, we will rely a lot on your council clerk to assist us too. So hopefully you will have this understanding as we go through and fill that very important position. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank Shirley for her years of dedication and service to the city, her commitment, and she will be missed. With that, we will now move into reports of the administrative officers, and we'll start off with our city manager, Mr. Bolt.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I too, just to digress for a moment, would echo the mayor's comments and really express my best wishes to Shirley, and she's been a tremendous asset for me coming on board a little over a year ago, and that was a tremendous help for me, and she's been a great servant to the city, and again, I wish her all the best and thank her for all her efforts for the city. I did hand out to council a report of administrative officers. You should all have a copy. I won't go through all of these items, but a list of some of the accomplishments and initiatives of the last 2 weeks by the administration. One area I'd like to highlight is our residential meter program. This is the second phase, I think most of us know, of the meter replacement program. Last year it involved large meters, this year residential meters. I'm very pleased to report that currently 762 residential meters have been replaced, and I know that the city and Neptune have been at this for just a little bit, about 6 weeks or so. So I think that's good progress. There's about 361 appointments that have been made to replace meters. That is, those will most likely be done within the next 2 weeks, those replacements. So at this point in time, we're somewhere in the 10 to 15%, maybe a little higher range for completion. We are looking to complete that project by August of this year. And I did attach a copy of the full report for council on this report that was handed out. I'm also pleased to say, as the council is well aware, we're working very hard to replace as many failing fire hydrants. Had a number of years where unfortunately hydrants, the city has not kept up with the condition of those hydrants, but I am pleased to say that we, as council knows, exceeded our goals for replacements last year, and I believe we're on track to do that again this year. We've also ordered an extensive inventory of new hydrants and watch valves. Those have now been received, and we're going to continue to work in replacing those hydrants, which are so important, and the valves as well, as we go throughout the rest of the year. One thing I would like to highlight is a project really on an emergency basis that we did in-house. It was on Arlington Avenue. It was a number of leaks that, and major ones that had affected that line on Arlington, 432,000 gallons, and we were able to address that issue. I'd like to thank our interim superintendent, Chuck Murphy, in the water department, and the city's line maintenance crew for their prompt attention to that situation. We need to work very hard to reduce loss from water, old lines, and leaking lines, and this is a great example of that. Just to highlight, and I would thank council for its support for ordinance 2015-14. That was the, or it is for the city to go out for the Aberdeen project, Bryden Road and East Carlton. Just to highlight the importance of these projects, that area, the residents have been experienced about 53 water main leaks over the last 5 years. So obviously a project that we need to get done. The administration and council have certainly seen the importance of that project, and we will be able to go forward with that given the action of council this evening. Also the resolution regarding the Ohio Development Services grant, Governor's Office of Appalachia, 25 water leaks in that area of the community over the last 5 years, the Loretta Drive waterline area. So again, very important project, very pleased that that action has been taken this evening. Then in the report, council will note a number of improvements that have been made in public health and safety. Just to reiterate, we do have the second meeting of the Hilltop Neighborhood Task Force scheduled for this Thursday at 4:30 in the Puglisi Room. The code enforcement officer has been working with our planning department in maintenance inspections in the central business district and the city's gateways, and I'm certainly pleased that that effort is going forward. A number of projects in our Parks and Recreation Department, and again, I think the Parks and Rec is, our director is doing a fantastic job in pursuing those projects and really bringing our parks back to where they should be. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions on items that are on the, that are listed on the report, and that would conclude my report to council for this evening. Yes.
Chris Petrozzi, you got a report?
Yeah, thank you, Greg, for bringing that up. Chris, could you, I know there's been, and there was an article in the paper this past weekend on the historic district. Could you bring us up to speed and summarize a little bit some of the activities of the Historic Landmarks Commission and this initiative relative to the historic district?
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Greg.
Briefly, I'll just go back in time and just to state that there are 3 historic districts in the city now. They are the Union Cemetery Baden Park Historic District, the North End Historic District, and the Commercial Historic District in our Central Business District. The Historic Landmarks Commission has identified 5 additional potential districts. They are the Bellevue Boulevard Historic District, the Lawson Avenue Ross Park Historic District, the McClellan Manor Historic District, the Brady Estates Historic District, and the Ray Martin Boulevard Historic District. These are potential historic districts that the Historic Landmarks Commission would like to examine regarding their possibility of National Register designation as well as local historic district nomination. A way that they would like to start with these districts is to identify residents within those neighborhoods that might be interested in pursuing historic district designation. So if anyone out there is interested in pursuing the National Register designation of these potential historic districts, we would ask that they please contact our office. And the Historic Landmark Commission would like to work with those individuals to educate the neighborhoods and to provide some key support in going out and reaching other residents that are within those neighborhoods. So if anyone within your wards expresses an interest in these potential districts or your ward, please refer them to our office. Thank you.
And Mr. Petrozzi, if I may ask, the process to designate, is it going to be by lots or subdivision, street? And what's the process? Will it end up going to the residents of that area for a vote to designate that area?
It doesn't require a vote of the residents of the area for our National Register nomination. It does require a public meeting, though, to solicit input from the residents for National Register nomination. Local historic district designation requires a public hearing being held by the Landmarks Commission and that council formally pass an ordinance regarding the designation. Some of the benefits of our residential districts are increased or stabilized and increased property values, as well as districts that are residential historic districts tend to have increased rates of home ownership and lower rates of rental properties. They tend to be more homeowner oriented. And there's also the marketing aspect of the historic district. So those are some of the benefits.
I can see that this will be a lengthy discussion. Obviously, there's pros and cons. Preserving a neighborhood is idea, and that is what's necessary and needed. But sometimes that also hampers any improvements. I think we're witnessing on North 4th Street, the 4th Street Health Clinic and their expansion and possible plans and the problems that they're having. So I'm sure it's going to be a good discussion amongst our citizens and the Historic Landmarks Commission. Mr. Metcalf.
Yes, sir. I was just wanted to ask Tim and Chris, and with the help of our clerk, at some point, are we able to, within our smart bill, because it's now an envelope basis, with residents in these affected areas, to be able to send an informational piece summarizing what you just talked about, so the citizens are more aware in case they don't read the newspaper or see things online?
Yeah, just we can definitely look at that. I will check. I think the best thing would be to check with Lindsay and see how we can work with Smart Bill and isolate or identify those individuals as property owners. We would certainly be happy to look at that.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. Thank you, Mr. Petrozzi. Anything further, Mr. Bowen?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. We'll now continue on with the administrative officer to our law director, Mr. Rapella.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rapella. Once again, we would like to thank department heads for attending tonight's council meeting. Moving on to miscellaneous, Mr. Bill Madden.
Yes, Mayor. Private citizen approached another citizen, and I got it from the second citizen. The private citizen, under the Freedom of Information Act, he received from the Auditor of State's office all the statements, emails, water delinquency charts with the names and addresses, the write-off amounts, who wrote them off, Water Review Board documents with the names of the people who went before the Water Review Board and the dispositions of those cases. I got this document right here in front of me, and Mr. Paul has the other part of it. He's looking at it now. This is just a quarter of it. This is only a quarter of it. We need to address some of the information as city's fathers because the public sees this information, if the public sees this information, what's in this book, and we don't explain it, they're going to be really upset with what's going on. And I'm upset because we paid $70,000 for this, and if a citizen can get this from the Freedom of Information Act, somebody from this body should have seen this, all this thing. The names are in there, everything's in there. Now, in 2011, first off, before I even say these figures, I want to say something because I don't want anybody to think that the Water Review Board was the one that was responsible for this, because how I'm going to say this, it sounds like they wrote it off, but that's not true. There's several people involved in the Water Review Board wrote off some of this stuff. Okay? 2011, there was $816,116.80 written off.
Much?
$816,116.80 written off. In 2012, there was $405,035.45 written off. In 2013, there was $1,041,609.02 written off. Now, what this report does not tell you is, was there a leak on some of these? There's establishments in here, $179,000. There's private citizens here with a $16,000 bill that went before the review board. I don't understand some of the abbreviations. There's a lot of letters involved here, so that's why I said if somebody could, just an average person looking at that, he'll think, oh my God, $16,000. Now there's some abbreviations in there that might mean something. Again, an explanation. I'm not saying this to be critical, but I am upset with the auditor's state because I feel that somebody from the city should have seen this, because if a citizen could get this.
Why do we get it?
Yeah, I mean, we paid 70 grand for it, okay? Now, also, I want to, since I know that I can get all this information just by going to the computer, I would like to request a list of the 2014 review board hearings with their dispositions, with the names and the amounts on it. And I know you appoint the board mayor, so I don't know if you do the asking or who does the asking or what, but I'll leave it up to you.
When you're done, I'll respond.
Okay. And my other statement is, we're paying an IT person here. We still have an IT guy. That website, we want to rebrand, and that's a good start at that IT site, the website for the city. I looked at several, and there's beautiful pictures. We got a beautiful fort over here. I mean, that fort's gorgeous. That should be on there instead of a distorted seal of the city of Steubenville. It's completely distorted. I would think that he should have enough expertise to design a better website. That's all. A lot of people comment on that. They go to it, it's just like blah. So, and that. And also, I'd like to make a comment on Shirley. She's the only person I ever called that answered the phone. when I couldn't get nobody, I don't care who I was calling. If I couldn't get him, I called Shirley. Shirley'd go get whoever needed it and call me back. She took care of a lot of stuff for me, so she's going to be with you.
She didn't hang up on you.
No, never did.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Yes, I do appoint, again, with council's confirmation, the Water Review Board. However, that Water Review Board is an independent board. The information that you're requesting really should be requested by the city manager through the utility office. Mr. Bowen, if that information is being requested, would you please make sure Mr. Billman receives that? And yes, we do have an IT person, JT.
TJ.
JT.
I'm sorry.
TJ Osborne.
Thank you. And works at the direct direction of the finance office with the over supervision of the city manager. Mr. Bowen, would you like to address the?
Well, TJ is our IT director, and I'll be happy to talk to Gene, and we'll take a fresh look at the website. I think it's always good to take a look at things, evaluate if it can be improved, and so we'd be happy to take a look at that.
Thank you. And Mr. Bill Magnet, just to follow up, I would like to review the documentation. I might know some of those codes you don't understand either. Thank you. That will complete the reports under the miscellaneous. We will now move into public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
My name is Joe Summerall, 112 Starkdale Road, Steubenville, Ohio. I came here about 2 months ago and complained about the cable company, Comcast. Well, I went, I think they informed me to go to my state representative, Lou Gentile, and to my, what do you call it, federal, Bill Johnson. I complained, they said they get a lot of phone calls, and nothing could be done at this time. There's an antitrust against Comcast going through the courts, you know how long that takes. But I called the retention officer at Comcast because we no longer have anybody here that deals with, and I talked to Gary the other day too. And he had told me back then, if we try to get more money out of them, all they'd do is raise ours again. Well, it only took them 2 months to raise mine again. And I think a lot of people can contest to that. And I'm a little bit aggravated about that. I'll clean it up a little bit. But isn't there something that the council could write a letter maybe to Comcast and say that they're getting, because that retention officer I called from Comcast, he talked to me for about a half an hour. That's who you gotta call. You can't do nothing out here. Them girls won't. They used to do something with that computer and change it. Well, he lowered mine down to 109. And now I just got the bill for 215 again, which I talked to him about. And before that, it was 85, it went to 96, it went to 115. I got basic cable, and I think I got the sports shares. But I think something ought to be done in this valley to stop this stuff from raise, because most people have Comcast, I think. I just think there should be some right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Good evening, Your Honor, and Mr. Bowen, Council. My name is Reverend Benjamin Calvert. I am the pastor of the Mount Carmel Community Baptist Church at 708 North 5th Street. And I am here today to represent Mount Carmel and its larger church community. I'd like to substantiate our presence by asking Mount Carmel and our friends if they would stand for just a moment. Thank you. I'm here in reference to the March 8th shooting incident that started in the North End projects and ended on the corner of 5th and Ross, where our church sits. This shooting incident took place during our worship experience, in which several of our parishioners' cars were shot, windows shot out. I had a visiting pastor from Pittsburgh come in. His car was shot out. Not only does it look bad for Steubenville, but it looks bad for us as a church. It looks bad for the city. And we are here just to speak to a couple of issues, threefold. I'll give you three things and I'll sit down. I'd like to talk for a moment that we are a remnant of citizens who are concerned about the safety and welfare of the community surrounding Mount Carmel and the greater Steubenville community at large. We'd like to be informed of any additional preventive measures that will be used to minimize these types of problems, and whether it's increasing law enforcement presence in those areas, if it's strategic patrolling, or if there's just visible deterrence, such as cameras on corners, whatever it might be. We'd like to be informed as a community as to what's being done, because we all know that as the spring and summer and the warmer weather comes, these incidents escalate and there's much more of them. If there's something that we can do now, we'd like to be informed of that and lend our support. I'd also like to share some laudatory remarks regarding the Steubenville police, and we're grateful for their excellent response time in this incident. They showed up almost immediately and were able to assure the congregation that they were in pursuit of the actors, and we'd like to know if in that pursuit, if they were able to catch anyone, if they were able to identify perpetrators, and if so, what is being done with those persons so that we can be comfortable enough to come to worship and to function and traffic through our own community without having to worry about these types of things. In addition to that, the third thing for me is we as a church and the community are not intimidated by these incidents. And because we're not intimidated by these incidents, we like to make sure that we lend ourselves as a church and a community to the council, to the mayor, to the city manager, and even to the police department. We are not at odds with the police department. We are in support of what they're trying to do, and we like to lend ourselves to be able to give some help and or some assistance for any preventive measures, and also offer ourselves for anything that might help curb some of the violence in the city and or just prevent and provide a safer environment for all of us, not just the African American community, not just the white community, but the community at large. All lives matter, and we'd like to make sure that we have some say-so, if that's possible, and or some involvement in whatever measure will be taken in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Pastor, I know our police chief wants to make a couple of remarks, and it is sad, some of the activities happening in our community. And we appreciate you stepping forward. We want to be a part of the solution to the problem. The timing now is good. The city manager has been working with different groups and trying to address the problem because we as government cannot do it alone. We need the input and participation of the citizens. So I'm sure your remarks tonight is hitting it home with our city manager. And we will heed to what you're indicating to us. And if there's any information, I will ask the chief to share with you. Maybe you can sit down and have a meeting together and map out somewhat of a strategy. But if any of your parishioners have any information, they also need to come forward.
Yes.
Chief?
I'm really glad everybody showed up tonight because it shows people are tired of this activity. The subjects involved in this have no regard for the people of Steubenville, no matter what color they are. They do this. I mean, I've had a gun since I was a little kid. One of the first things I was taught is you got to know where that bullet goes. They don't care where that bullet goes. They have disagreement or whatever, they want to shoot somebody else, but they don't care who else they hurt. I'd like you to select a few of your parishioners, and you can meet with me and a detective. We'll tell you where we're at with this investigation.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. And you said you were here for a threefold reason. Let's add one more.
Okay.
And we ask for your continuing prayers for us here at the city, our citizens, and the protection of our community.
Absolutely.
Mr. Diaretta.
Reverend, I'm glad you're here. I'm a member of the Jefferson Metropolitan Housing Authority.
Okay.
We have a new regime down there, you probably all know of. We'd like you to come down and see our temporary executive director, ourselves, the board members. We have pledged to clean up this town with all these outsiders. And you probably have noticed there's some change down there going along there already. But we need help. Like the sheriff said, get involved. I get a lot of telephone calls that don't give you my name, but people come down here and complain, asking what they did. They didn't do anything. At least you did something, and you're on the right step. I had another meeting today with some elemental people. We're going to try to get a Boys and Girls Club in this town. And we're going to need all your help, not lip service, work and money, and supervision.
If at all possible, I'd like to not throw any additional work on our clerk, but also maybe speak with her in order to get in touch with you so we can sit and talk.
No problem.
Thank you.
You got anytime. I work 24/7.
All right.
Your Honor.
Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a quick note, Pastor, I know we met earlier, and I really appreciate you coming down. We've had, as the mayor mentioned, some success in the hilltop neighborhoods with this kind of outreach and discussion. It can only work working together, and the city and its residents. So I applaud you for coming down, and all of you members of the church that came down this evening. would appreciate joining you with the chief, and let's see what we can accomplish. I think we've got some good models to go off of. Let's continue that progress, and so that we don't have to talk about these kind of incidents in the future. We need to make that kind of progress. So, thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Joel, and thank you, Pastor. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Peter Andrews, 1814 Norton Place. One of the reasons I came down to council was to vent a little bit about the meters. And I called the water department 3 times and was busy. I really understand why it was busy. So I decided, well, I'll go down to council and share with them my item. But it's nice, when I opened my mail today, lo and behold, I had one of those magic little bills. And I do appreciate the prompt service. We offered up quick, I was quick to want to come down and complain. But I think they should be applauded. That was a timely disposition of what was clearly an egregious error in my end. And so I want to thank that prompt action. I certainly appreciated it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address. Not Mr. Metcalf.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you was going to talk tonight. You couldn't.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Rick Yanks, 1301 Oregon Avenue. And I want to thank this council here for taking some positive steps the last year or two. And with Mr. Barber, it helped. A lot of things tend to be positive, so thank you for what you're trying to do. And people behind me, it's really kind of what Yonk has said and what the chief has said and the mayor has said is on the very last line of the preamble to the charter. It says here, the achievement of the purpose of this home rule charter depends upon the constant interest and concerns of its citizens. We've been coming down here for years, and I have to compliment Yonk for doing what he's been doing with different issues, and the chief and a lot of people here behind this rail. So if the people behind me have not seen what our council and city officials are supposed to do, it's spelled out pretty doggone direct here. So I'm going to leave these with your permission so people can pick them up. And number 2 is, Mr. Villamagna, you hit on a very key issue about the water situation. I've been seeing it for 12 years now. And there's talk, there's rumors, there's this, there's that. And there was a wonderful article, very informative in the Herald Star. And thanks to Mr. Dave Gossett and the Herald Star, they always get information out. But I would like to see, if someone in this council has not read this article, or the people behind me want to read it, I think you'll be very impressed with the information. Whether it's true and right to the facts, I don't know. But I found it very interesting, and I would like to leave this also with anyone that wants to pick it up. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Hi, Bill Isaac, 389 Boston Avenue. One quick question on the safety levy. Everybody wants more police resources to be dedicated to issues in the city of Steubenville. The police chief has reassigned detectives to be on the street, other issues, county patrol cars on the streets. If we put a safety levy up, will it be split between the police and the fire, or can it just be exclusive for the police? Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
My name's Joe Summerall, 112 Starkdale Road, Steubenville. Mr. Bowman, someone asked me a question today because you were talking about the new meters. And they said that, I remember Neptune coming here, and I was here almost every meeting. I only missed one, I think, the last 6 years. But can we shut them off? I heard today that they can't shut them off. I thought that was the big crux of the thing, that now that we have Neptune and they put all these new meters, that we can shut them off here. Is that true, or is that just a Somebody.
Your Honor, if I can.
Yes,
No, there is not a direct shut-off with these meters. I think, and as you rightly described, it's been a process over a number of years with the meters. To my understanding, that was quite simply a cost and a technology. We have a number of situations where people are on shared service lines and you shut one person off, you shut someone who's not delinquent off. Also, the cost was just, I don't want to just shoot from the hip, but it was an enormous cost.
I'm glad you saved us money.
We saved you
Well, I
money.
didn't want to have no false information, because I go, no.
But you know, one of the very good things about the new meters are that we get updates electronically every 15 minutes. We can contact people proactively about leaks. You don't have to wait 30 days in a situation where people have exorbitant leak problems. They don't know about it. We can address that and some other things as well. So I think in the end it'll be a real positive for the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bowler. Mr. Cimarella, if I just may state that you are absolutely correct. In one of the presentation from Neptune and some of the discussions was to have a shut-off remotely done. However, as it was pointed out by the city manager, the cost of that technology with the new meter replacement was extremely expensive. However, the saving grace of this is that it does have the technology within a 15-minute period, if it's being monitored, to indicate in a section of unusual use to a home. So we would know if there's a leaking line or a toilet and all, that we will be able to prevent that and notify the customer, the homeowner. But we did not get it with the technology. Wish we would have, but too expensive.
I just wanted to get the right information.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Tony Deal, 198 Westland Boulevard. Real quick question. You passed a resolution for JV Green Team, so the city kept its veto power?
Yes.
Do they have the power to veto the tax going any higher? Just over the
No, the veto power was for the designation fees in the plan. Now, in order to raise the $2 tonnage that we talked that would reflect on our sanitation fees, we have a veto power because it has to go through the ratification process.
But not over the tax. The taxes can.
That tax is this.
Assessment.
The assessment, thank you. Correct myself too. The assessment. This council, no legislative authority, commissioners, this council, any other council, township trustees, doesn't have that authority under your high-rise code. The governing body that does is the Solid Waste Commission. Under the high-rise code has that authority to implement that assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address.
My name is Mark Nelson, I live 272 County Road 26, Steubenville. I kept my mouth shut all evening so far, but this body did vote on the tax. This is the Green Team's plan, it's 485 pages long, it's downloadable on their website. It's in section 7. The funding of the plan is spelled out in section 7. Anybody can look it up. It funded, I think, before the plan went through as well, this past year perhaps, and it was voted on. You can download this as well if anybody's interested. It's on the minutes of the Green Team. They went into executive session in July of last year to speak about budget and personnel, which is illegal, I believe, under sunshine law, and they voted on that taxation behind closed doors, as is spelled out in the Green Team plan. You can find it in section 7, and the funding specifies the tax, which was voted on in July. The minutes in August, if you read those, they specify that, again, this is all public information, you can only read it and make of it what you can. It's just a report. But in August, they went back in and voted again because they needed the actual legal document to back up that vote. And it clearly is in this plan. I also feel, if you look at it, the veto power was never a negotiable point. It's statutory. I don't think, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think you can outlaw it, because it's statutory, it comes from the law. The third thing is if they do update the IT department, the recently voted on city charter is not available anywhere on the website or on the internet or on the city's partners website that has the codified ordinances spelled out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to city council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address. Mr. Metcalf.
Is it okay, Mr. Mayor, to speak a second time?
Sure.
Thank you. Ricky Yates, 1301 Oregon Avenue. I just wanted to bring something to the attention of this council. You're to be congratulated on trying to get jobs in business and new industry here. And there's a rumor going around, and I think there's several people on the council that know about this, that there's a property that possibly is going to be looked at as a hotel. Now, the rumor is it could possibly be contaminated property. Probably not, don't know, but I think it's something that planning and zoning should take a look at. We have two people on planning and zoning in this room tonight that I'm aware of. And then the finance committee, which creates jobs, needs the tax money, and also the public safety portion. Because in my personal experience and seeing what I've seen from years ago, the water department is a perfect example. Some of the stuff that was never divulged, so to speak, come back to hit us big time. Millions of dollars worth of water bills discharged. I don't know what's going to happen with this property, but it's at the corner of 3rd and Ross, and it's going to be rezoned. I just wanted the rumor around the city, and I think it should be at least public knowledge to be considered to look at. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to city council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address. I thought since it's St. Patrick's Day, we'll stay it overall. Mr. Metcalf.
Randy's not here, but real quick before we, I just wanted to, it's taken me a long time to take the punch in the gut with Shirley retiring. She is a very loyal, dedicated champion employee of the city of Steubenville. She will be missed. Not a lot of people realize that we've had some turnover a little bit here and there and with our council clerk, and she filled it admirably many times for council and has helped council a lot. So I'd like to thank you for lending her to us and thank her for all of her work and bless her for everything she's done. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting this evening.
Second. Been ready moved and second that we adjourn. Roll call.
Metcalf. Mr. Paul.
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr.